Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Sleep is now being recognised as an integral component of overall employee wellness, and here to discuss how employers can facilitate good sleep practices is Lucy Wolfe from Sleep Matters. Lucy, you're a sleep consultant, but I'd be interested to find out what led you into this particular area.
Well, I like my sleep, and as a parent I discovered that young children don't sleep particularly well, and I was intrigued by that first of all, Karl, and I was also intrigued further that there were no resources available to primarily parents who struggled with their children's sleep, and then to the wider market of just anyone who sleeps, which is absolutely everybody. And so as a result of that, I actually had a change of career, went to training in the States and in the UK, and I work directly with families of young children, and I do a lot of work in corporations, helping them to achieve what I describe as being well rested in the workplace.
Now, we hear lots of talk about wellness in the workplace, but sleep certainly seems to be the next iteration of issues that are coming up in that space. So what is the key to a good night's sleep?
So I suppose the first of all is about understanding sleep, and that there are lots of things that affect your sleep. There is your body clock, the circadian rhythm is the main driver. But then there are loads of other force factors. There's psychological elements, environmental factors. And unfortunately, because they all get together, they tend to create a little bit of a tension. So we need, first of all, to understand sleep better. And then we actually need to prioritise sleep more. And it's interesting that you mentioned that you feel that the sleep is entering into the health agenda. And it is. And it's long overdue, actually, because we have had lots of emphasis on, healthy eating and a healthy and fit lifestyle, but without actually addressing the third element of the triangle, sleep. A lot of the elements that you're trying to achieve tend to not work as well. So again, if we get that better understanding and we prioritise sleep, and also just literally understanding that sleep is crucial to healthy, well-being, emotional well-being, and to function at your best level.
And why is that so?
Well, sleep serves a huge function, so it's not just rest. Of course, that's part of it, but when you're sleeping, it's supervising a wide variety of biological maintenance jobs. So if I put it to you quite simply, that when we're sleeping, we are invoking the rest and restoration gene. We're also processing absolutely everything that has happened to us throughout the course of the day. And it also helps to clear away all of the toxins so that we are healthy, fit, and optimally functioning.
So, from a corporate perspective, what are the most common sleep problems which you encounter with your clients, and to what extent does this impact other aspects of their daily lives?
The difficulties that we're experiencing is that a large proportion of Irish adults are either not getting enough sleep or they're dissatisfied with their sleep. And unfortunately, they're going into work and they're not able to act in their best way. And as a result of that, it's resulting in, poor decision making, this poor concentration, lack of motivation. It's resulting in lost work days and lost revenue as a result of lost work days, and loss of income. Like, there's a study that supports that sleep deprivation is costing 150 billion in a worldwide perspective, and that needs to be acknowledged. And the CEOs and the leaders in corporations are acknowledging that their staff are not producing, the productivity is not as high, and that possibly sleep deprivation is one of those, is a large contributing factor.
Now, you mentioned about the body clock. Is it a myth that some of us feel that we're more productive in the evening, or others feel that they're far more productive in the morning, or is there some substance behind that?
There absolutely is. So what you're describing there is a chronotype, and there are two major chronotypes: an AM-er, so that's a morning person, and a PM-er, that's an evening person. And there are some people that fall in between. But you'll generally know your own chronotype, because you will tell me that I find it really difficult to start the day, but then I get going, I'm brilliant in the afternoon, or vice versa. And I suppose if we can start to maybe even identify within the workforce what type of person you have on your staff, then even it's worth looking at how flexible we can be in terms of the working day and the hours that they do. But even if you can't be flexible within that, it's knowing that and maybe organising your meetings that you're where you need to be, operating at your highest level, to coincide with your chronotype.
So, Lucy, you go into businesses and work with your staff with a view to improving their sleep patterns. Talk to us about your approach to this.
Where I go into companies, we're looking at an information and education-based approach so that we help people understand, again, the importance of sleep. And then more importantly, we try to put some measures in place that help them to achieve exactly that. 40% of people will be struggling with their sleep due to anxiety. And again, we need to try and establish the cause of the anxiety so that we can start to then move them forward into a more growthful sleep space. Even just understanding the importance of sleep, how much sleep a person needs, to try to get in underneath that. And adults generally need somewhere between 7 to 9 hours. And then we try to help people understand how they can use their body clock and light to improve their ability to go asleep and stay asleep. So insomnia is a big problem, and insomnia might be described as being finding it difficult to go to sleep, or indeed waking up throughout the course of the night and finding it difficult to return to sleep. So again, that can be caused by lots of different factors. Anxiety is certainly one of those. And so employers can be encouraged to find with their staff, ways of coping, having coping strategies, learning yoga, learning mindfulness, but even repair that back. Just even looking at having regular wake times, not having a varied wake and bedtime structure throughout the course of the week, so sticking to the same time structure 7 days a week, learning to use light to your advantage. So we talked earlier about the chronotypes. So again, if you're a morning person, we need to make sure that you are exposed to bright light early in the morning, or rather if you're an evening person, we need to really expose you to bright light in the morning time. And as the day unfolds, that we use light in your favour. So it's about understanding how to do that. And then it's about having a more conscious approach to your digital overuse, so your electronic media, and how we can look at restructuring so that we're not using electronic media too close to sleep time. We're eating in advance. We're not exercising too close to sleep time. So it's quite basic as such, but it can make a huge difference to improving your quality of sleep. It's not always about quantity of sleep. It is also about the quality of the sleep that we get.
Now, you mentioned earlier about the issue of anxiety causing a problem with sleep. Now, stress is a major problem in business, and it's also a big disruptor when someone goes to bed. It prevents them from going to sleep. Have you any techniques that you recommend to combat this?
Yes, certainly. And I suppose the big difficulty with anxiety and stress is that it's a symptom. And what we're really looking to establish is what is the cause. Now, in the largest part, it will be work worries, it will be financial stresses, it will be worrying about the meeting the next day that you need to do, it will be performance-based. But I suppose a lot of the techniques are based on trying to sweep the problem away. And when we just try and sweep the problem away by saying, I'm not going to think about that, we create a cycle of tension. So some techniques that are very helpful would be like a mindfulness technique, but overlapped with not trying to always force the issue that comes into your mind away. So almost when you're lying there and you're trying to go to sleep, and if the worries start to happen, a lot of the techniques are to do with, saying, oh, don't think about that, don't let me think about that at all. But actually, if you welcome it momentarily, and then work on batting it away, and then concentrating on, your breathing, concentrating on being present in the moment, just, doing some progressive muscle exercises, just, it's almost like a refined version of the idea of counting sheep, that you're just trying to take your mind off things.
There's probably very few workplaces across the country that don't have at least one person that spends a lot of their day yawning due to lack of sleep. But from an employer's perspective, what can they do about this, and how should they approach the subject?
I think one of the biggest things I really feel strongly about, because it is having such an impact, and it's contributing to sleep deprivation and stress and anxiety, is our inability to turn off and switch off. That with technology, we've gotten to a situation that we're never off, we never finish. Emails can find us wherever we are. And I think I love the idea that companies would start to look at a right to disconnect, whether that be the server goes down at a certain time and you can't check your emails until in the morning, or whether we look at creating boundaries, that we have a digital boundary in place, whether it's self-imposed or coming as a directive from the company, because it's these items that are making things more challenging, and it's increasing the stress and anxiety, and it's also increasing the sleep deprivation that people are experiencing.
And Lucy, some organisations have introduced sleep pods into their workplaces where staff members can go and have a snooze during the working day and then work back to time later. Do you think that this is a fad or a trend that might gather momentum?
No, I think like the nap room, I think I probably prefer the nap room over the pod. But any measures that are being made to help almost destigmatise the fact that sleep and needing sleep is a weak concept, that you're lazy if you need to take a break. And if we turn that around entirely and we make it be part of a healthy lifestyle, and that we make it appropriate and we make it okay for you to rest by day, I don't feel it's a fad. I feel it's very important.
Are you a fan of the power nap during the day, or does this further complicate sleep patterns?
It can with some people. So I'm an advocate in general. And I think it's a good idea for a person to be able to get their sleep in 2 phases, or to build up the amount of sleep cycles they get in the week. However, if you take a power nap and you find it difficult to go to sleep at bedtime, then I would propose that the power nap's not for you. If you are taking a power nap, the perfect time to do it is somewhere between 1 to 3 p.m. But I would generally find that cutting it off, a bit like coffee, at around 2:30 p.m. is a good way of making sure that it doesn't affect your bedtime onset of sleep.
And finally, tell us about the Sleep Through product range and the science behind their success.
So I am the creator of the Sleep Through range, and it came from my own family unit, where one of my children actually was having lots of stress from a social point of view. She's a good sleeper by definition, but she was really stressed out, and then I started to look to see, what could I use as a natural remedy to help encourage her sleep. And again, just felt that it was under-resourced here. And I also felt that I knew so much about sleep myself, and I had an interest in a natural approach anyway. So I thought that if I could bring those elements together, I could then develop a product which has resulted in Sleep Through by Lucy Wolfe. And what I have is a body and bed spray that you can you can spray on your body and on your bedding, and a relaxing rub as well. And both items can be used separately or together, and you would use them as part of your bedtime routine.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.